Investing in Africa Tech Startups. Keys to Economic Growth.
Fabulous. As I mentioned, we have our moderator, Cal Evans, the Managing Associate at Gresham International. We have Brenton Naicker, the Principal and Head of Growth at CVVC. We have Yosuke Yoshida, the Co-CEO at EMURGO Middle East and Africa, and Piotr Piasecki, the board member of Revenue Capital. So, it seems like everyone's getting along in this panel, so I'll leave you guys to it.
Guys, I'm so excited for this. I've been checking out our chat group. I like it. I like the energy. This is cool. So you guys don't need to hear from me again because you're sick of me. I'm going to let the gentlemen introduce themselves. Brennan will start down this end and then work our way back.
Thank you. So firstly, I really enjoyed that talk, Cal. Maybe we need to get you to coach some of the people who submit pictures to us. But I'm Brenton. It's such a pleasure to chat to all of you today. So, very much in the Web3 space. We run an early stage Web3 investment fund based out of a little place called Crypto Valley in Switzerland. So the Web3 Silicon Valley, where all these amazing billion-dollar protocols were founded. We now run an Africa fund, which is focused on African founders using Web3 to solve emerging market problems. It's a $20 million fund. We invest pre-seed level to pre-series A. We've got 8 portfolio companies across the sort of big 5 countries. And then what we like to call our secret sauce is an ecosystem business. So we've done work with the central banks in Kenya, in South Africa, the likes of Polygon, Binance, and we're really about bringing those two worlds together. So the legacy world, and then of course the Web3 or DGen world, if you will.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Carl Evans, for the nice presentation, also the introduction. And hi, Brenton, my friend. I'm from EMURGO. We shoulder Cardano, layer 1. EMURGO is one of the founding entities, co-founding entities of Cardano, and we are so-called the commercialization arm, which means we invest in products, we accelerate projects, we provide advisory, and we do some part of development if that's something required. And I'm responsible for Middle East and Africa, and happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello again. My name is Piotr Piasecki. I represent the community of Web3 investors. We invest in Web3 startups and AI, and we incubate AI startups. I represent a community of 7,000 investors, which are token holders of RVC token.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. Very cool. So as you can see, we've got some pretty good experience on the stage today. Chaps, I want to kickstart this with a very expansive but a very simple question. Africa represents a great opportunity, but for you as investors, what do you believe right now is the biggest opportunity in Africa in terms of market segment, where you're seeing that biggest growth cycle? What's really attracting you to it? I like to do the start one end and work down so nobody gets confused, so maybe we'll start here and work our way down.
If I would say from the investor's side, as an investor, I'm also interested in those fields and those countries which are not so regulated, strict with the taxes, stable, and also, how would say, which economy and currency is not very viable. If we would see Africa as this kind of region where we can find a unicorn governments who are supporting startups in this way, so we can talk about Africa as a region. We would take, and our investors would take this project environment into consideration.
Sure. Good.
Cool. I've been in charge of this market for several years now, but before that I was in charge of Japan and some Asian market. So I would say that I was more in charge of the developed side of the world. And the technology, the blockchain technology, it does make sense in, for example, Japan, Tokyo, many things, it does. But after like being in this industry for probably like 6 years now, I now really believe that the technology makes much more sense in the emerging market. For example, the stable coin is in Tokyo, it's a nice to have, but banks function, Swift, fine, it takes time, it's costly, but fine, it still works, right? And everyone's happy that general public not using stablecoin. But in Nigeria, it's a real life solving daily daily solution for them. And like the technology, stablecoin is just one example. And we see a lot of things, how blockchain, the technology, and even this crypto thing, how it makes much more sense in the emerging market, for instance, Africa. That's one of my motivation. And what I think is like the innovation, the revolution of this blockchain industry. It's not gonna be African countries following the European or American, whatever. I believe that it's gonna be really starting here. A lot of use cases happening here, and start exporting the successful use cases to other part of the world. Like, for instance, Tokyo, seeing some real use cases happening in Nigeria, they might want to bring it in Tokyo. After they seeing the success, they're not really comfortable, I think, because of the conservative mindset. They don't really want to take the risk to bring in blockchain to the government system or whatever. But if it happens in Nigeria, it might be easier. And I think that's what is happening now.
Brilliant. I think my answer is kind of boring, and I tell people this all the time, is our first wave of unicorns in Africa, you know, the Flutter waves, the waves, the OPAs, we're all in the fintech space. So a lot of African investors and people who view Africa think that it's time for the next wave of innovation. I still think that fintech and payments in Africa is still 1% built. So when it comes from a market opportunity perspective, I definitely say fintech. If I had to throw something, you know, a little bit sexier out there, I'd say as a subset of fintech, a massive opportunity where we're seeing a lot of really compelling deal flow at the moment is in the credit space. So everything from renewable energy financing to closing the SME financing gap to individual credit solutions, alternative underwriting models. So that, I think, in the near future is where we see the most opportunity.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, gentlemen. So I think we wouldn't really be doing the Africa question justice if we didn't kind of ask ourselves and say, look, what do we think are some of the biggest challenges in investing in this region? Because as we've rightly pointed out, it's not like the EMEA or the Asian region. It is very difficult, and it has its own challenges. Brenton, I think you're going to have probably the best insight into this. So give us your kind of flavor worth, and we'll work our way back down again.
Oh, perfect. You mean this is a very practiced answer because, as you know, when you're raising a venture fund, the majority of that capital is coming from offshore. And the first thing I have to deal with on a daily basis is the criticisms from offshore investors, right? That they're predominantly centered around two buckets, I would say. So the one is the massive currency instability. So if you're investing $1 into Africa, you're expecting $1 plus X in return. And if you look at the performance of African currencies, be it the Nigerian naira, the Kenyan shilling, you could be growing an investment at 50% year on year, and the currency is getting devalued 60% year on year. So generating returns in developed market-based currencies, being the US dollar, the pound, the euro, is a very, very difficult thing to achieve, particularly where that is where your capital is coming from to invest. The second one is geopolitical instability. So, and that filters down a little bit into regulation, is where you've got a very volatile political regime in a lot of the African countries. So there's a lot of uncertainty and volatility around regulations, different political regimes. One day there could be, something as crazy as a coup where, an entire sector or segment is outlawed or it becomes public. where it was previously private. And these are concerns that you don't have to worry about investing in more mature developed markets. So I would say those two buckets are the core of the issues that we see when it comes to investing in Africa.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for the insight. Who's
Yes, I think Brenton raised great points. Maybe I would want to add about the whole ecosystem, maybe, because it isn't really fair to compare it to Silicon Valley, but like the whole ecosystem is very, I would say, premature. I think Brenton raised about the Flutter Wave. There are successful cases, but the number-wise we can like count it, right? Yeah, there's no real clear path for the IPO. Most of the exits are, realistically speaking, M&A. So I mean, there's a lot of many very passionate, very talented entrepreneurs, founders. The industry is growing, but it's still not mature. That's maybe the difficulty that we really see the project and how we figure out how we predict how we want to exit those projects. Yeah.
Very cool.
I would reverse the point. I would rather say and focus on exporting African startups to the global market. And as we perform and we contact and make a networking with hundreds of startups yearly, we have a lack of, and we identify a lack of interesting projects, especially in the space of Web3 and AI. And this is an opportunity for African economy to export the knowledge, the skills, the ideas on the global market and make themselves wealthy and put themselves on the completely different level of operations. So I would, from my point of view, I am not interested to invest in African startups. I'm interested to give them possibility to go to global investors who feels a lack of interesting investment possibilities. And this is the point from my side.
Okay, interesting. So I think it's fair to say we know that tech startups really do fuel economic growth. And I think something that you three could give some insight in the next 2 minutes to anybody sitting in the audience that is a tech startup in Africa looking to secure some investment. If you were to give them a quick 30-second do this and it will really help you, what would be the biggest advice you would give them? I think it's something we'll start this end and we'll work our way back. Start with you. Yeah, we'll start this end and work up. With you. Brenton? Yeah?
Me? Just long story short, as my advice, have an idea, prepare pitch deck, train this pitch deck behind someone you trust, find first money to finance MVP, and go to present yourself on such conferences around the world to collect the money for your idea. This is, and of course, when in 2022, the market grieved, there was no possibility to have an easy money for investment from Web3 space. When time's changing. Now, in 3 or 4 months, the big flow of money to this sector is supposed to come. So
excellent.
This is my opinion.
Very cool. All right. I'm conscious of the fact we've got 37 seconds left, so go for it.
Okay, 10 seconds then. I think this is one of the points that Carl raised during his presentation, and this is one of the points that Peter Thiel, the great investor and entrepreneur, has in mind always. is about the uniqueness and how difficult it would be for other competitors to join the market. That's, if I have to raise one thing, that would be the thing. Only 10 seconds.
So I'm going to keep the 10-second mark, be very pragmatic. Your capital is going to come from offshore. Nobody's going to invest in a local African entity, so set up your entity offshore in a hub like Delaware, for example.
Awesome. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. This has been great. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for taking their time out.
Yes, a big round of applause.